Do another NFL tier list, but this is wide receivers. So we got from elite all the way down to I don't know. Just know that before it starts that there's gonna be one or two players that are not in the league, which I'm gonna put them into I don't know. So yeah, first one we got is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is a elite wide receiver. No question about that. Gabe Davis, he is a solid wide receiver. He could be a star, but this season wasn't the greatest for him. I feel like if he replayed last season, I feel like he definitely would be in the star conversation right now. As for the other Bills wide receiver, I really don't know a whole lot about him, so I'm gonna put him there. Tyreek Hill, elite. Don't have to explain anymore. Jalen Waddle is a star wide receiver. He is not a elite wide receiver or a solid wide receiver, but he is a star wide receiver. He can definitely be a elite player soon, but we just have to wait and see how well he does years to come. The other wide receiver is the Bill is the other Miami Dolphins wide receiver. I don't know a whole lot about him. I'll put him at I don't know. Now all three Patriots players, uh, I'm gonna put them at trash. I'm not even going to detail with them. Garrett Wilson, he is a star wide receiver. As a Jets fan, I think elite is a little bit too much for him. I feel like he can definitely get to elite, just need a better quarterback. As for Alan Lazard, solid wide receiver. I feel like backup is a little disrespectful for Allen, but I feel like Allen's definitely a solid wide receiver. Corey Davis, like I said earlier, he's one of the guys who retired in the middle of the season. We're not sure if he'll come back and play. It sounds like he might. He's thinking about it, but yeah. Now three Ravens players. I really don't know a whole lot about him. Odell Beckham Jr. I'm gonna put him as backup wide receiver right now. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with his career. I don't know if he's gonna retire. I think he's mainly a backup wide receiver for now. Yeah, Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flower is a solid wide receiver. I play stars a little bit too much for Flowers, but this season he shows that he can definitely be a star, definitely for the Ravens. Jamar Chase, elite, no question about that. Now T Higgins and Tyler Boyd, they're definitely both a solid wide receiver. They can definitely be a number one option or number two option depending on what team they're going to be on. I just know that the Bengals are going to keep one of them. So it seems like they're going to keep Higgins more than Boyd, but I'm not sure. Now we got Amari Cooper. He is a star wide receiver. I know this season he did really good. I feel like people are going to be hating on that. Like, hey, he's a solid wide receiver, not a star, because after one season, but he is a star wide receiver. Um, I'm not into detail a lot about that, but I just know he is. As for Elijah Moore, I don't know. I know. I mean, as a Jets fan, I've seen him play. The reason why I put I don't know is because teams don't know how to use him. So I just feel bad because he's a really talented player. It's just you don't know how you're gonna put him in your system. Uh, as for this guy, I don't know a whole lot about him. Now, as for the Steelers wide receivers, I'm gonna put two of them in trash, and then one is backup wide receivers. The reason why I put him backup is I feel like he can be a second or third string, but it's it's kind of iffy about his career. I feel like he just backup for now. Yeah. As for the Texans wide receivers, he is definitely a solid wide receiver. I want to put him a star because he did really good this season, but that's a little bit too much for the first year, him doing really well. As for Robert Woods, I would say he's a backup wide receiver. I think he's good when you use him here and there, if you need him. As for the other wide receiver for the Texans, I think he's a rookie. Um, he did really good. See some flashes. He did really good games here and there. I feel like he can definitely be a solid wide receiver, but not yet. Michael Pittman, if I said it right. He is a solid wide receiver. I feel like Stars kind of pushing it for Pittman because injuries and then having off games. But he's definitely gonna be up there. And then as for the other two wide receivers for the Colts, they're both backup wide receiver, but they're solid. They're solid. They definitely can be solid wide receivers. Uh, Christian Kirk, trash. Calvin Ridley, I don't know. I don't know. As for the other wide receiver for the Jaguar, trash. DeAndre Hopkins, backup wide receiver right now. He can still play at a good level, but not at a elite level like he did for Houston. As for the other two wide receivers, trash and trash. Now, as for the Broncos wide receivers, I'm not even gonna talk about them because all three of them are just bad, bro. Like bad. Now Tony, bad as well. Valdenstein, he just got released. Cut a release by the Chiefs to save the Chiefs 20 something $million. Smart on their end, but he is trash as well. As for this other wide receiver, I'll put him back up. I've seen him play a couple of times this season. He doesn't get the ball that much, but when he does, he's really good. But I would say he's a backup wide receiver for sure. Devontae Adams, I'm gonna put him as solid wide receiver. This season was not his year. I know it wasn't really his fault. It was more the coaching change and the quarterback. But I feel like solid wide receiver for now. I feel like Star is a little bit pushing it for him because of because of what the team's going through right now. As for the other two wide receivers, I'm gonna give him a solid wide receiver. Um, he did really good this season. I had him in fantasy. He did really good for fantasy. I definitely can see him as a star, but not a elite though. As for Renfro, trash. You all that money and give it to him, and he didn't do nothing this season, which doesn't make any sense. As for Allen, I think Allen, right? If I said it right, I'm gonna put him as star. This season he went off. He went off of the Chargers. Now, as for the other two wide receivers, they're they're trash. Well, my bad. No, my bad. The third one's trash. Mike Williams, I don't know. His career is kind of in jeopardy right now, so you don't know how he's gonna do. It seems like the Chargers might get rid of him, but he's still a good wide receiver when healthy. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game. But I'm gonna put him. I don't know because I don't know what's gonna go on for him now. I feel bad though. I just hope he stays healthy rest of his career, but who knows? CeeDee Lamb, put him as elite. No question about that. We have Brandon Cook, a backup wide receiver, still good. Cowboys didn't use him that well this season. And then Gallup, I don't know about him. He's very confusing player. As for the Giants wide receivers, all three of them are trash. Trash. Eagles, we got AJ Brown, a star, not an elite. This season he didn't do so well. As for Smith as well, a star, but not a elite. And then the other guy, I don't know a whole lot about him. I'll put him as for I don't know. Terry McLaurin, I'm gonna put McLaurin as solid wide receiver. The reason why is that I'm not really sure. He has ups and downs, so you don't know, you know, what to do with him. As for the other two wide receivers, I had him for a couple of games. He did okay. I feel like he's better for a backup role, but he just doesn't get the ball. As well as for the other guy too. So both of these players, I feel like they're both going to be used. If they're used correctly, they can go off for a team and be a second string wide receiver for that team. but right there, backup for now. DJ Moore this season was not so good. I'll just put him as solid just to be nice. But when you use DJ Moore correctly, one of the best. As for these other two, backup, and I'm gonna put the other one as trash because he doesn't do nothing, bro. I don't like him. Now we got one of the best. Put him at elite. These two, I'll put him as backup. Backup for now. Put these backup. I'm put it trash. I don't know a lot about him. Justin Jefferson, elite, easily. Ooh, I want to put him as solid wide receiver. He did really good for the Vikings. For a minute. Him, I'll put him as I don't know. As for Drake London, I don't know what Drake London. I don't know what's the deal with Drake London. It's very confusing. It's not his fault. I feel like it's just a coaching change, and then the quarterback changes a lot, so you're not using him as well as you would think. But I think he can definitely be a solid wide receiver. As for the other two wide receivers, I don't know a whole lot about them, so I'll put him there too. Adam Thielen, still a solid wide receiver. I know he wants to retire in a few years, but the Panthers were just not the correct place for him to be at. As for the other two wide receivers, trash. Trash. Well, we have a lot more. Well, we have a few more left. Okay. Saints wide receivers. I'm gonna go back up here. I'm gonna move him to. I'm gonna move him to. I'm gonna put it as solid. Star's kind of pushing it, but this season he did really good. He's still a solid wide receiver. Thomas, I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah, I'm not sure what's the deal with his career. As for him, I don't know a whole lot about him either. Mike Evans, he is a star wide receiver. Let me put it back up here. The star wide receiver for Mike Evans. Godwin. Put Godwin at. I'll put a solid wide receiver for Godwin. But Mike Evans definitely a star wide receiver. Godwin's just always injured, so you shouldn't be putting him up any higher than that. As for him, trash. Now Cardinals wide receiver is very confusing, so I'm gonna put him. I don't know because I don't know what's wrong with the Cardinals organization or how they run it over there. As for these two guys, they're just trash. Cooper Kupp, I know he missed a lot, and I shouldn't be putting him at elite this season, but he's still a elite wide receiver in the game. Justin Jeff, no, I know his last name's Jefferson. I don't know why I said Justin Jefferson. He's a good backup wide receiver. Just have to use him correctly. And then why did this guy never put the other guy in it? I don't know who he is, but they should have put that other rookie. I would definitely put that rookie wide receiver that everyone been talking about when he filled in for Kupp. I forgot his name. He definitely would be in a star conversation for sure. Have to. Just by how well I know the first year, and you say first year's kind of pushing it, but he did really good. Now as for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, I'm gonna put him as star wide receiver, not elite. And as for him, put him as solid wide receiver. And him, I don't know anything about him. DK Metcalf, I'll put him as star wide receiver, not elite. And then I'll put forgot his name. I'll put him as solid wide receiver, and I don't know a whole lot about this guy. So yeah, guys, this is what we have right here. Right, elite, star, solid wide receiver, backup wide receiver, trash, and I don't know. Which I think the solid list. I know some of you guys are going to argue about me putting it Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Waddle, that whole section into a little higher tier. But this is what I think who's elite, star, solid because of this year's NFL season. And yeah, guys, if you guys think I did good, think I did bad, comment down below. I'll be more happy to listen to your positive or negative comments. And yeah, see you on next video.